All right, well, in under 48 hours, the term of the office of the chairperson of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, and his team of commissioners lapses, leaving the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission unmanned, with the sole commissioner left standing, Irene Masit, battling for her professional life before a tribunal constituted to look into her conduct during the 2022 general election. Chebukati took the oath of office in late 2016, taking up official duties in January 2017. As NTV's Leila Mohammed reports, it is the end of an era for a commission that has been lauded and vilified in equal measure.
The commissioning of the IEBC warehouse in Kakamega town Saturday is one of the last official assignments for Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairperson Wafula Chebukati and two other commissioners, Professor Abdi Guliye and Boya Molo.
The Orengo Cried report, which outlines the challenges that were there with the outgoing commissioners.
The three commissioners' tenure of office is coming to a close after doing a 6-year term that has been described as having had an equal number of highs and low moments.
The president may give him accolades, and that's understandable because he's the man who declared Ruto president. The thing was taken to the Supreme Court. The things that played out in the Supreme Court, that we leave to Kenyans to judge.
Upon the chairman,
Wafula Wanyonyi Chebukati's tenure at the helm of IEBC as its second chairperson under the 2010 constitution began in January 2017 when he succeeded Ahmed Isaac Hassan's team that had served first as the Interim Independent Electoral Commission IEBC before taking on the responsibilities of setting up new boundaries and creation of new constituencies.
We don't want every election year is like we are starting all over again. We want to set up the institution, and I believe I'm the right person for that job.
The promise would soon be tested 7 months into his tenure in office after the Supreme Court annulled the 2017 presidential election.
Presidential election held on 8th August 2017 was not conducted in accordance with the Constitution.
That statement took the country into a political tailspin where an unhappy incumbent coined the infamous "we shall revisit" statement. The judiciary questioned how the Chebukati team undertook that election.
The famous story in Kenya is Fungua Sava, what happened to Sava.
And an opposition that boycotted the second round in totality whilst calling for the resignation of the commission.
How are we going to go to that election with them?
The things that were cited by the petitioner Raila Odinga in Raila 2, those things have not been, really, not much has been done about them.
It was during the Chebukati-led IEBC's tenure that the question of voter apathy then arose, especially after a hotly contested 2017 election in which a repeat poll was ordered by the courts.
How many eligible voters were registered? There's a question mark there. When last time we were expecting 6 million, we got barely 2.5 million.
The question of trust for the IEBC to conduct free and fair elections in the country has come to the fore in various occasions, including during the Wafula Chebukati-led team when many in the political class conducted tear gas Mondays every week in a protest against their leadership to conduct any election. The move by the Orange Democratic Movement and its leader Raila Odinga had begun towards the end of the Isaac Hassan Commission's term in office, where demonstrations were sought to be the best option to bring reforms in the electoral body. Following what he termed as a secrecy shrouding the two elections in 2017,
protect and defend the Constitution of...
Following what he termed as a secrecy shrouding the two elections in 2017, Odinga declared himself the people's president at a park to Uhuru Park in January 31st, 2018, a move that heightened political tension in the country, culminating in the famous handshake at the steps of Harambee House, a political cooperation deal between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the ODM leader Raila Odinga. As the team gets set to leave office, legal minds note that the best way to replace the commissioners is to go back into history in order to ensure that all political parties' interests and concerns are catered to.
The IEBC and its predecessor Electoral Commission, they have always had the question or the challenge of how do you ensure that you appoint commissioners in a way that is fair and balanced, that the ruling party of the day or the majority party of the day does not dominate the process of appointment. And I think it is the IPPG consensus that was the best solution ever implemented.
Chebukati's term witnessed a rearrangement of commissioners immediately after the two presidential elections in 2017 and 2022. Weeks after the 2017 election was annulled,
Kwamboka Roslyn Akombe.
Commissioner Roslyn Akombe fled the country, saying she feared for her life. Months later, the vice chairperson, Consolata Maina, and two other commissioners also resigned from the commission.
Under his leadership, the commission boardroom has become a venue for peddling money, misinformation, grounds for brewing mistrust.
It's supposed to be working here, and this has to be made very, very clear to the country that there's no place for former commissioners in the IEBC.
The decision to send packing the then IEBC CEO, Ezra Chiloba, in 2019 was the proverbial stroke that broke the camel's back.
I've made several attempts to make critical changes, but all my motions have been defeated by a majority of the commission.
5 years later, another deadlock rocked the electoral body, splitting it right down the middle. The counting and announcing of votes saw the vice chairperson, Juliana Chorera, and two other commissioners distance themselves from the chairperson, Gulie and Molu.
We are not at Bomas of Kenya because we cannot take ownership of the results that is going to be announced because of the opaque nature which these results have been handled.
Of the four commissioners under investigation, the vice chairperson and two commissioners, Francis Wanderi and Justice Nyangaya, have since resigned from office.
I think it's a structural problem which has become systemic, and what we need to do in the future is to decide between the chairman and his commission and the CEO and his secretariat who should be doing the day-to-day working of the commission.
Our system is not a system that is dependent on the network.
In the two major elections that the Chebukati team has managed, the commission staff have died under unclear circumstances. The death of IT manager Chris Msando in 2017 left an indelible mark in Kenya's electoral history.
Working with the police and the family to ensure that the killers of Chris Msando must be brought to book.
Wafula Chebukati made a revelation that he and his team faced intimidation to steer the results in favor of one candidate in the 2022 general election.
One Wafula Chebukati is our hero. Soft spoken but firm.
I will faithfully and fully.
It is the end of an era. Focus now shifts on the process of constituting the next IEBC to manage, among other things, the 2027 general election and carry out boundary delimitation before then. Leila Mohammed, NTV.